Huh? What are you doing in my swamp?
Hello everybody, this is Overboy and I'm going to be doing my review for the 2005 movie Batman Begins. So this is the first movie in Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy, and in this movie we follow Bruce Wayne from a young kid who, when he's a kid, watches his parents die after being murdered, and we see as he grows up and stuff, he goes to the League of Shadows and is being trained by Ra's al Ghul, and after he leaves there he goes back to Gotham and becomes Batman, and we see Bruce's transformation into Batman, and as he has to save the city from the crime lord Falcone and the Scarecrow, who has this toxin that brings fear to all the residents in Gotham. And he also has to face off against his trainer, Ra's al Ghul. This is a really, really great movie. I always forget how good this movie is and everything. And it's kind of one of those Batman movies that, while everybody seems to love it, it doesn't get talked about near as much. It was really overshadowed by The Dark Knight, which is the next movie in the trilogy, which rightfully so. That movie is a great movie too. And everything, but people don't talk about this one near as much as they do The Dark Knight, and even to a lesser extent The Dark Knight Rises a little bit, although most people would consider this one better than that one. I've always really liked this movie, and when it first came out I didn't really care to see it. I wasn't into Batman very much. I was much more into the Marvel movies because of Spider-Man and stuff coming out in the early 2000s. So this one I was not very excited for, and then I ended up watching it with a family friend and instantly was hooked on it. It's just a very, very good movie, and just from the opening moments of the movie I just got sucked into the story, and it's almost a 2.5 hour movie, and it flies by like really fast. It has some of the best pacing in any of the Batman movies. Like there are a few slow parts in here throughout the movie, but it never slows down to where it's like dull or anything. I absolutely love Batman Begins. I think it's a very, very fun movie. Christian Bale, I have a lot of mixed aspects on his Batman, but I think he was really great in this movie. I think this is probably my favorite performance of him as Batman, and I do like him as Bruce Wayne though. I think he got Bruce Wayne down really great. And everything. When I think of Bruce Wayne, a lot of times I do think of Christian Bale because he really gets it down very well. I don't really care for his Batman voice, so I'm not gonna sit here and lie and act like I loved his Batman voice, but this movie, it doesn't bother me quite as bad for some reason. Maybe it's just because he doesn't go as hard on the voice in this one as he does the other two movies, but he's really not that bad in this movie. I think he's fine. He's a lot better than I remember though. And all of the supporting cast are really great too. You got legends like Michael Caine and Morgan Freeman in here as Alfred and Lucius Fox. Both really likable characters, both very well played by these legendary actors. Both of them are great in here. And I think that Michael Caine's Alfred might be my favorite of the Alfred actors. I'm not sure. I'll have to do some more thinking on that, but I think I really do like him the most. And Morgan Freeman is just great as Lucius Fox. He's just very likable in this movie. He's the one that gives Batman his gadgets and stuff, and he does a good job. And then you got Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul, who's a very good villain. It was kind of a twist villain and stuff that we find out that he's the real Ra's al Ghul at the end of the movie, but he's really good. I think he does a good job. His motivations aren't the best, but I think he's still pretty good. I liked him in it. Cillian Murphy as the Scarecrow was pretty good. I wish we would have got more with him though. He doesn't have a lot of screen time, but just a little bit of stuff we see with him, he's really good. And Cillian Murphy is a very underrated actor, and Scarecrow is kind of an underrated villain, so I kind of like him. I wish we would have gotten more with him, though. That was one of the things that did disappoint me in the movie, is I did wish we would have got a little bit more with him. But I think he's fine. And then you got Falcone, who I think is played by Tom Wilkinson is his name, I think. I know I've seen him in a bunch of other stuff. I'm pretty sure it's Tom Wilkinson. He does a good job too. He also doesn't have a lot to do, but the villains are kind of just mediocre in this one. They're not near as good, except for Ra's al Ghul. The Scarecrow and Falcone aren't quite as good of villains as other villains we get in the trilogy, but I think they're both fine. I think Ra's al Ghul is standout villain of this movie, but I love the story, and I love like how it does have a little bit of that detectiveness to it and everything, and like it shows the beginning of the friendship between Gordon and Batman and stuff. I love that. And Gary Oldman is Gordon. He's probably my favorite person to play Lieutenant Gordon, and I think this one he's not even a lieutenant yet, but he's really great in here, and Gary Oldman just fits the role perfectly. I absolutely love him in the role and everything. And a lot of times when I think of Lieutenant Gordon, I think of Gary Oldman's portrayal, because he's just absolutely perfect. And the cinematography in here, which you get that with every Nolan movie. That's one thing, whether I love all of Nolan's stuff or not, which most of it I do at least like, his cinematography is always great. He did a great job with the cinematography. The visual effects are really good too. There's not a lot of CGI in here, if any. To be honest, I'm not sure that there was, if the scenes with Scarecrow's toxin, if that was CGI or not. To be honest, I can't really tell. But the action scenes are really great, especially the stuff with the Batmobile. That was pretty cool. When we finally get to see the Batmobile for the first time, and I think it looks pretty cool. Although I personally prefer the Tim Burton Batmobiles. I think it still looks really good, and it makes sense for this version of the movie why it would be like this big tank and everything, because this is more of a grounded and realistic portrayal of Batman, and I love that too. Like, it follows the source material close enough, but it also is its own thing, and Nolan does a really great job with this movie. I think it's a very, very fun movie and everything. Like I said, it's greatly paced. I will say Katie Holmes is okay too. Her chemistry with Christian Bale isn't super great, but it's not near as bad as a lot of people said it was either. It's kind of mixed on that. It's not the best. I think he did work better with Maggie Gyllenhaal in the sequel, but I think she's okay as Rachel. She's fine. Of course, maybe it's just I like Katie Holmes too, and everything on. And I do kind of see why people say she's miscast though, but she's okay for the little bit of screen time she has. So all in all, I think Batman Begins is a really, really great movie, and I always forget how good it is, and I can't wait to revisit these other two movies in the Dark Knight trilogy, because I haven't seen them in a good 6 or 7 years, so I'm really looking forward to rewatching them and everything, because it's long overdue for a rewatch of the Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. But this is a really great one, and the trilogy, all three of them were pretty good movies to me, especially The Dark Knight, which most people love. But this is a really good way to kick it off, and it's just a very, very entertaining movie. I always have loved this one, and it never has really gotten old. It just is a really, really good movie. I don't rewatch it near as much as I should, to be honest. As much as I love it, I don't know why I don't rewatch it as much as I should, but it's definitely worth checking out. If you're a Batman fan, it's one of the must-see Batman movies, and it's a really great origin story. If you like origin movies and stuff like that, this is definitely one of the best as far as superhero origin movies go too. So I'd say I'd give Batman Begins a 9.5 out of 10. It has a little bit of pacing issues, mainly at the beginning of the third act. It kind of slows down for a few minutes, but it's not like anything that runs the movie. It's more of a nitpick than a negative or anything. So I'd give it a 9.5 out of 10. I definitely would recommend it. So Anyway, let me know in the comments what you think of The Dark Knight Rises. Sorry, I keep saying the name of the movies wrong at the end of my videos. Let me know in the comments what you think of Batman Begins, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good day, everybody.